Yes, the injuries are mounting. Yes, there is a light amount of players to play on Sunday, but the Cleveland Browns face the Chicago Bears and need to win. Your pregame Locked On Browns starts now.
You are Locked On Browns, your daily Cleveland Browns podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound LGB on the LOB, the Locked On Browns podcast, brought to you the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your host, Jeff Lloyd, and I appreciate each and every one of you that make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. The everyday crowd just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and if you ain't a part of it, we'll get on the bus, Gus, and subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show's always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, obviously we are heading into big Sunday matchup. Chicago Bears come to Cleveland Browns 6-1 at home. Obviously, two more games on the docket for your Brownies. But as we know, the injuries just keep on mounting. Obviously, we're not even talking about the players on IR. This is the players that are still on the 53 going into Sunday. Jordan Elliott returned to practice today. Not sure the capacity, but listed as questionable with the concussion. Certainly, Browns taking a lot of hits right now on the defensive line. Linebacker Jordan Kunaszyk just recently came back. Jordan Kunaszyk will be out this week as well. Ogbenaya Okoronkwo, we understand the situation. He is out this week. They are looking into second opinions about how the surgery, if it is needed, is there a way Ogbo can maybe nurse himself through some part of the remainder of this season. But Sunday, Ogbenaya Okoronkwo will be out. Juan Thornhill also will be out. No practice this week. Therefore, Juan Thornhill, another one. Now, that Browns trio of safeties, which was Juan Thornhill, which was Grant Delpit, which was Rodney McLeod, they will have none of the three on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Denzel Ward, cornerback, questionable. If we can get Denzel back this week, I think that's something that would kind of be a coup here. Obviously, the Browns cornerback unit has been a strong suit for this team the entire season. MJ Emerson playing lights out. Greg Newsome been playing, really well in spurts this year while he's battling his own injuries. Getting Denzel would be enormous for one of the strengths of this Browns defense. If they can get him back, obviously gives a little length to the cornerback room. I'm not sure if they have any intention of using any of these cornerbacks in safety situations. So we'll very, very interesting to see when it comes out at 11:30, obviously on Sunday morning, whether or not Denzel Ward does make the active list. Now, you talk about this safety position. And obviously we know with, of course, Juan, with Grant and Rodney McLeod out. Duron Harmon comes up from the practice squad. You got to think most likely Duron Harmon is most likely going to start on Sunday for the Browns. You have, of course, Ronnie Hickman, the undrafted free agent out of Ohio State, had some, meaningful plays last week as he came in, late after Grant Delpit went out. And of course, Juan Thornhill was a late scratch last Sunday. D'Anthony Bell. If there's going to be a fourth safety, my guess is Tanner McAllister comes up from the practice squad, if that's the way it's going to work out. So for this deep three safety rotation, three safeties playing at one time that Jim Schwartz was having so much success with early and often during the season, right now, none of them. Brutal situation to be in. You get to the defensive tackle position. Here is what we do know. We know, obviously, you have Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris. You have those two strong veterans. You know what you get from them. Maurice Hurst, bright spot for this season all season long. As we know, Maurice Hurst's 2023 season is over as he's had surgery on a torn pectoral. Jordan Elliott in the concussion protocol. So either way, you believe Siaki Ika is going to get the bump for the first time this season. Top 100 selection for this franchise. Will probably get his first snaps on Sunday. That still leaves a question mark as to what exactly is going to happen as far as, Jordan Elliott. If Jordan Elliott is unable to go, Sam Kamara has been brought up. So Sam Kamara maybe will jump into that Maurice Hurst role as the undersized defensive tackle pass rusher that the Browns have been getting a lot of success from this year. At the defensive end position, we know it's Miles. We know it's Za'Darius. Obviously, Agbo is out. It means more meaningful reps for probably Alex Wright. Isiah Mcguire will come up from he will dress this week. There's been several weeks where Isiah Mcguire has not dressed this season. And then you would maybe have 4 defensive ends, 3 defensive tackles with Tomlinson, with Harris, with Siaki Ika, and then you would have, of course, Sam Kamara, who would basically be serving as maybe your 3rd and a half defensive tackle and maybe your 4th and a half edge. It's a lot to keep up with, guys, right? Lot to keep up with. And to top all of that off, Anthony Walker had a minor tweak today. And let's not say tweak, because last week there was a tweak in practice, which led to DeJuan Jones's 2023 season ending. Anthony Walker, he's been dinged up a lot this year. His leadership, his knowledge on the field, his read and recognition ability, even though he's dinged up, is second to none. So, of course, in a game of this magnitude where you've got a lot of new moving parts coming into play, you would certainly want the leadership, the knowledge of an Anthony Walker out there. So, again, that is another big one to monitor, Browns fans, as far as the inactive-active list that will come out Sunday at 11:30. We all have the utmost confidence in JOK. A lot of confidence in Sione Takitaki. Tony Fields could be a player here on Sunday. A lot of variables here late in the year. And, for Jim Schwartz, he's not one that's going to complain. He's still going to play his aggressive style. That's just, what it is. Who you are is who you are. And do not escape from who you are just because maybe times are getting tough or maybe you don't have all the assets that make you who you are. Jim Schwartz is a, crazy, tough son of a gun who preaches pressure. He's going to do everything he can to do it. And just with Justin Fields, a quarterback for the Chicago Bears, on the road Sunday in Cleveland. Offensively, Ethan Posick out. So Nick Harris will be starting. So of the Cleveland Browns' original starting offensive line from week 1, here in week 15, you will have 2. You will have Wyatt Teller at right guard. You will have Joe Bitonio at left guard. Left tackle, Jaron Christian. Center, Nick Harris. Right tackle, James Hudson. I don't know if they're all coaches are getting together and saying, well, you got a different type of pep talks here because, obviously you're trying to rev up a whole bunch of different players, and it seems each and every week here. Certainly a lot on the plate for Coach Stefanski and the offensive staff. Certainly a lot on the plate for Jim Schwartz and their defensive staff. But this Cleveland Browns team is 8-5. This Cleveland Browns team has built a mantra of 1 week at a time. Go 1-0 this week. It'd be paramount for this team to get that 9th win this week, which leaves them 3 more games to go to hopefully go 2-3 and hopefully secure themselves an AFC wildcard position. We're going to talk about the offense here. Your latest Locked On Brown pregame style rolls on. Appreciate everybody for being along for the ride. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. When you're a small business, you don't have the time to make mistakes. You need a hire. You better make sure that hire pans out. And that's why LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. Thankfully, with LinkedIn, the process is intuitive, quick, and easy. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and, most importantly, quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Jeff Lloyd, your latest Locked On Browns, and I appreciate each and every one of you for making Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. And if you are not part of the everydayers here with Locked On Browns will make a new plan, Stan. And the best way to do it is subscribe to Locked On Browns YouTube channel. Show's always available, always free, wherever you get your podcasts. The offensive side of the ball here. And this is, with the whole Joe Flacco addition, and with Joe Flacco now being the quarterback, and I'm sure you everydayers heard it. And, Jake Burns spoke so eloquently previous episode about where Joe is with this offense, and we're getting some of the best out of the personnel here that maybe we weren't with some of the other quarterbacks that have played this year. But for Joe Flacco right now, things seem to be humming along. With Joe coming in here, and look, Nick Harris admirably stepped in last week. Nick Harris coming in as your starter, you could do a lot worse. Nick has been here. This is now ending his rookie contract. Nick has been here for almost 4 full years now. So he has a good knowledge of this offense. He has a good knowledge of, what exactly Coach Bill Callahan expects from him, what Kevin Stefanski expects from him. So it certainly could be, a slippery slope for the Browns here. But Nick Harris, this is about as tried and true. And you love to see Nick Harris get an opportunity. This guy has always been, just one of the better parts of this organization. He's always had some tough blows, but Nick Harris is a guy that shows up every week and does everything that is asked by this franchise. Even though he had the opportunity for a starting position, as we all know, a year ago for the 2022 season, obviously blew out the knee first preseason game, opened the door for Ethan Posick. And unfortunately for Nick Harris, Ethan Posick has never given that job back. Montez Sweat certainly is going to be somebody that you're going to have to control here. Normally, Montez Sweat lines up over your right tackle. That'll certainly be James Hudson starting at right tackle for the Browns on Sunday. We'll see if Montez Sweat, who probably has a pretty good history and understanding of the type of player Duron Christian is, if Montez Sweat chooses to line up across from Duron Christian, just because maybe there's familiarity, or he feels, he's got, something that has worked in the past against the Browns' current left tackle, Duron Christian, who will be making his 6th start at left tackle for the Cleveland Browns this year. But with Joe and with the strong arm, with the vertical game, Amari, it's just been a blend. Amari just steps in, and this is one of the things you truly enjoy about getting to cover, and for you fans having a player like Amari Cooper on your team. Look, how many quality wide receivers that put up this statistical production year in, year out that Amari Cooper do would be so understanding and speak so notably about the fact that he's played with all these different quarterbacks. Most wide receivers in this situation would probably be aggravated. And yes, most of it's kind of been injury that's played but it almost seems that every 2 to 3 weeks, you're learning a new quarterback. You're learning a new quarterback's tendencies. You're trying to grow a relationship with that quarterback. And the next thing you know, you start all over again on Wednesday, and you're lining up, and it's a different quarterback. Amari Cooper is just wired different. He does not have the mentality of most wide receivers in the NFL, which makes him an absolute pleasure to cover, and certainly an even bigger pleasure to watch perform on Sunday, because it seems Amari Cooper can just go about his business, go about his craft, be who he is, and he finds a way to be successful, whether it is obviously Deshaun Watson, whether it is DTR, whether it's PJ Walker, and now quarterback Joe Flacco. They've gotten the best out of Elijah Moore these past couple of weeks with Joe Flacco, and they were gravitating towards this. They were in understanding that the role they had envisioned, the usage they had envisioned for wide receiver Elijah Moore, it just wasn't working. It's not the best thing for Elijah. It certainly wasn't the best thing for the offense. I'm not saying you're not going to give him a jet sweep every now and then. I'm not saying if you want to throw in the backfield, but let's not make it a regular thing. And now you're seeing Elijah Moore. I think people misconstrue the type of player Elijah Moore is due to his body frame. And I get it. But he would not be one of these guys that would thrive for the Los Angeles Rams in a Cooper Kupp or a Puka Nacua role. Elijah Moore is a legit outside weapon. That is where he wins. That is where he won in college. There are no athletic traits. There is no abilities that is taking him out of that position. Elijah Moore is a true outside receiver. And I think, obviously, Donovan was blocking that path for him. The Browns made the ultimate decision, obviously moved on from Donovan Peoples-Jones. And now they are starting to get the best of Elijah Moore. Does it help that he has a relationship with Joe Flacco? Certainly looks like it does. But I think it helps even more for Elijah Moore that the Browns are trusting him and using him in the role where he best wins, which is on the outside, with the ability to get Elijah Moore vertical, with the ability to have Cedric Tillman run vertical routes. It is making life so much easier for David Njoku. And yes, it's been a little up and down for David, and it's hard to believe, David has not missed time. Also the thing, and we know the severity of the burns that David Njoku had suffered, but putting together by far his best season as a pro to this point. He all of a sudden the drops have stopped. He's been much better with that. He is finding a really, really nice role with Joel. And with Joe, look, it's really hard not to find 6'4.5", 250 when he's out there. And again, as we say, and we said with Jake, and I've always said about David Njoku, is you can't cover him with a linebacker. They're just too dang slow, and he is way too big to be covered by any defensive back. So you work that middle. You work that middle of the zone, above the linebackers, below the defensive backs. And yes, David had a chance to opportunity help some of these other quarterbacks, and that's kind of where the drop issue started. But David seems to be bright again and is a big, big weapon because the Browns can challenge the vertical spots and are able to get David involved. And if you get David moving at full speed and he gets the ball in his hands, he's a very, very difficult guy to get to the ground. He runs well. He's a long strider. He's athletic. He's got a powerful stiff arm. And for the Browns, this offense may be starting to hit yet another spot. It may be rising yet again because with each start Joe Flacco goes out there should be a little bit more of a confidence factor. With each start that Joe Flacco goes out there should be more of a comfortability factor with the weapons he plays with, whether it's Amari, whether it's Elijah, whether it's Cedric Tillman, and of course David Bell, and of course David Njoku. The run game, and look, I'm not gonna stop harping on this. And look, I can agree that part of it is the constant revolving door of offensive linemen week in, week out. Like I said with Jake Birds, you want that harmony. You want those five guys playing in one. You want it to be like a symphony, like a band, all those instruments, all those talents meshing as one. But there's got to be some semblance of a running game. Look, I'm not saying you got to go drop 200 yards and, that's the way you beat the Chicago Bears. And the Bears have been getting better against the run. But the Browns, you have to. It is late in the season. And, when you get ahead, you need to start milking that clock and get that time off. And if you're not confident in the running game, if you give it 3 carries to get 10 yards, you're putting the ball in the air more, which creates the opportunity of clock not moving, which creates opportunities as, sacks, fumbles, interceptions. The Browns, it just has to get to be better. It has to improve. I don't know what the recipe is. Jake gave you some thoughts here on the episode previously on what he felt the Browns could do to maybe change things up. Maybe the tendencies are there, but the talent for the Browns isn't. So it's a lot easier to know what's coming, but it's also a lot easier to defend when you don't have all the great pieces of execution in the run game that the Browns have. But maybe starting now, moving the goalposts here, switching things around, making things look differently and running things differently than you had in the past. This is something Coach Stefanski, Coach Alex Van Pelt need to pursue. Look, this offense is a little different anyway with Joe Flacco back there. So if you're going to do some tweaking, why not do some more tweaking and just put your offense in the best chance to succeed? And certainly there's nothing you can do to the running game right now that's probably going to hurt it anymore. So you might as well try something different to see if you can maybe start exasperating it, maybe put some jumper cables on it and get a much, much better effort out of the run game. We're going to continue here. We're going to get to the defensive side of the ball. And look, I ain't lying. It's going to be a difficult task with all the amount of bodies out, but you got Jim Schwartz, you got some big name talent, and we're going to talk about all that in segment 3. So stick around. It's the holiday season, so this show is sponsored you by BetterHelp. With the holiday season, one of the most difficult times of the year for people. Some people just get seasonal depression. Some people get holiday depression. For me, it's always about the people that aren't there. Holidays in my family used to be 30, 40 people, Christmas, Thanksgiving. Sadly, some people are just no longer with us. So whether or not your family gives gifts during the holidays, you get to define how you give to yourself. And the holidays are a great time to do just that. So whether it's by starting therapy, going easier on yourself during the tough moments, or treating yourself to a day of complete rest, remember to give yourself some love this holiday season. It's helpful and it's important to learn the coping skills that you need to set the boundaries you need to be the best person for yourself and the best person you can be for everyone in your circle. It's not always easy, and sometimes it's really okay to say, I am not okay. If you were thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. In this season of giving, give yourself what you need with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. We're going to close it out. Your Week 15 pregame show. Cleveland Browns hosting the Chicago Bears Sunday at 1 o'clock. Week 15. Week 15. That is how fast the NFL season goes by. The 8-5 Cleveland Browns hosting the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields come in, and obviously the Bears have been looking good, and they kind of did a similar thing last year, where they're trying to look good here, and the Bears are a really, really interesting team right now. This team most likely is going to end up with the number one pick. They already have a second number one pick. Do you continue with Justin Fields? There are so many avenues you can go here if you're the Chicago Bears, but they technically, until they lose one more game, are still in the NFC playoffs race. So obviously the Bears come here with intentions of trying to sneak out of here with a W. Justin Fields' first career start was in 2021 against the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. If everybody remembers that day, Myles Garrett was 4.5 sacks on his way to an AFC Player of the Week accomplishment. Well, Justin Fields has grown a heck of a lot since then, and he's certainly, grown into be a very, very intriguing and talented quarterback. And if the Chicago Bears decide they're going to move on with him this offseason, there should be a pretty solid line of suitors looking to bring Justin Fields into town. That being said, he and DJ Moore have a really, really nice relationship with each other. Just seems to be clicking between those two. They're starting to run the ball a little better. And of course, Justin Fields has always been somebody that can contribute with his legs as well. Cole Kmet, very, very solid tight end. They certainly get him involved. So something else to watch out for is, they try to navigate their way against this strong Browns defense. I know the bodies are down for the Browns. I do, but my confidence level still remains high. Jim Schwartz is a tough son of a gun. Jim Schwartz knows defense, and with his attacking style, if he can set the tone and he can get after Justin Fields, it just puts everything in their favor. And as we've seen, with the Browns, with their defense, it's basically been tugs of war, as far as these games go. The Browns defense gets out there and starts setting that tone early. All of a sudden, that rope is heavily, heavily in the Browns' favor. Now, we've been seeing weeks, certainly like Denver, where they've taken a couple of hits to the mouth as far as the run game, and you see that rope getting pulled back to the other side. You still have Myles Garrett. And look, the Myles Garrett we saw last week, even though the production necessarily didn't meet the pressure, the old line, your disruption is production. That was Myles Garrett last week, which led to 4 sacks by his teammates. Without having Agbanaya Okoronkwo, and I did kind of mention Zadarius Smith a couple of weeks ago, that this was a player the Browns kind of need to step up here down the stretch. They maybe haven't gotten everything they were hoping for yet, but there's time for Zadarius Smith to basically help them and bail them out here by hopefully putting together a strong run here over these last 4 games that the Browns have. You get a lot of solid opportunities. You get a lot of things flowing your way just by Myles Garrett being there. Tomlinson and Shelby Harris, it's going to be kids behind them, most likely on Sunday. So these guys are going to have to be effective. They're going to have to be leaders. They're going to have to fight. They're going to have to take on blocking. They're going to have to absorb blocking. All these things these guys have done so well. And when you get the opportunity, you got to knife through. You got to split that double team. Anything you can do, because this is what you are at right now. And the Browns, again, the mantra, 1-0, win the week. And this is, sometimes it all sounds like great fodder. But for the Browns, it's truly been something that's turned into the culture of this team here in 2023 and has allowed to be them successful as they can be. This probably should be a game, and it's height one, but I truly think even with all the injuries, you tell me I'm getting Denzel Ward back. So I still have Denzel Ward. I still have Myles Garrett. I got MJ. I got Greg. I got JOK. I got Tomlinson. You got some really good players out there. And it shows you maybe just how deep this Cleveland Browns defense was, because we talk about the players are out, and then we talk about the players that still might possibly be playing for the Browns on Sunday, and you realize just what an incredible depth job and high roster minutia that Andrew Berry did for this defense and did for Jim Schwartz, because the names that are out, it's a long, long list. But then we talk about the plus players, the guys with star potential that'll still be playing in this game for the Cleveland Browns on the defensive side of the ball. And it is certainly nothing to sneeze at. Obviously, the Browns kicking game has been fantastic. Obviously, the punting game last couple of weeks has been solid as well. I don't want to rely on Barraquez. Okay, just not the way I want to go. But it's good to know you got that guy when called upon. D-Hop has been nothing short of sensational. Prochet, crafty in his punt returning. And Pierre Strong, it doesn't seem like he gets many shots. But when he does, finds a way to get that ball north of the 25-yard line. End of the day, final whistle goes on Sunday. Browns will beat the Chicago Bears 23-16. You heard it here first. I am your host, Jeff Lloyd. I have been now my 7th season with you all here. I love every second of it. I appreciate all of you who make Locked On Browns your first listen every single day. Again, the everyday crowd, you want in, you need in, and you don't need an invite. Just hit subscribe on the Locked On Browns YouTube channel, and you are here enjoying the party with all of us. Show is always available. It's always free wherever you get your podcasts. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. LGB on ELOB. Let's go Browns.